Hello, and welcome to the Saladcast on Sunday, the 19th of July, 2020. I'm your host, Dan Trey. Joining me today, Zachary Burgess.
Clickety click click.
And Robert Kemp.
Clackety clack clack.
Yep, right on the money.
Sound of a train on the tracks?
It's the broken turrets from Portal again.
Is that one of the things they say?
Yeah.
Clickety click click.
You guys been playing that game for our YouTube channel?
Yes. Get the video promotion in at the start of the podcast rather than the end.
Yeah.
Right, right at the beginning. Portal
Not
on
the
the
broken
brain.
turrets turn up in the co-op, I don't think.
Oh, I don't know. Yeah. I don't think we've come across any yet.
Yeah,
Come
I
across
don't
the
remember
regular
there
ass.
ever being any.
Come across the white turrets so far, but just the, standing, regular, effective ones. Turrets.
Standing and regular.
Standing and regular, yep. Very organised. In their slight complaining. Do they complain? I suppose they're just dumb. I'm just trying to figure out how would you describe the demeanour of the turrets in Portal 2. Is there a word that describes that kind of relaxed gunning?
Just relaxed murder.
Yeah.
Just a casual gunning down of anyone that comes into their sights.
It's just how I spend my time. Are you still there? There you go. Portal 2. How old is that game now?
I know.
How old is it now?
Yeah, when did Orange
Store
Box come out? I'm
page.
sure we've had this conversation before,
Old.
but
2011.
Right, 9 years ago.
okay, not as old as I thought actually. Weirdly, because no, I'm getting confused. An Orange Box must have been a good few
Portal
years
1.
in front of that. Yeah, that was Portal 1.
That was Port 1, yeah. When was that? Because I'm thinking about, because Halo 3's just come out on PC and it's like
2008, right? That was the Orange Box.
Halo
Right,
3 was 2007.
2007. Oh my god.
Oh no, 2007 was Orange Box as well.
And the Orange Box. I guess that was a good
Strong
year.
Strong year before this fair podcast hit the airwaves.
Began. But Portal 2 was in our time. We could award it Game of the Year.
Posthumous Game of the Year. Oh wait, yeah, 2011. Sorry, not posthumous.
Yeah. It was within our...
we're not dead.
I thought you implied that the game was dead.
Oh yeah.
Usually you award things after their death.
Posthumously,
That's posthumous. Not after the awarders themselves. The awarding body is dead. Like, after I die, make sure you award Portal 2 the Game of the Year for me. Then it'll be posthumous.
It doesn't matter what year it is, just make it happen. Coming up in 2050, we review this year's Game of the Year.
What year was Year of Luigi? The Year of Luigi. Every year is Year of Luigi.
The Year of Luigi never ends.
They're definitely gearing up for some Mario stuff. I think they're gearing up
So
for
they keep
some
saying.
All-Star Mario. Because did you
There's
see...
that rumor, isn't there, that it's going to be like Galaxy and Sunshine and maybe a remake of 64 as well.
Yeah, that would be crazy. They already did a 64 remake. Not remake, but remaster. They won't be doing a remake of anything. It's just remasters, maybe, if you're lucky.
I mean, we already said it before, where it's just like they should just port Mario 64 into Odyssey.
Yeah, I mean, that should have been what happened when you went into the castle in Odyssey.
Well, I mean, they could
straight into
just add it there.
Yeah,
Just literally change the whole Mushroom Kingdom to just be Mario 64.
that would be great.
That would be pretty cool.
Did you see
Because
the
then we'd
Lego
have another version of the music we used to
Nintendo
test by.
Nintendo Entertainment System?
Yeah.
That's kind of... I don't know how I feel about that, honestly. It's kind of badass, but then it's not exactly playable.
Yes,
Well-
it is playable.
It sort of is. The thing just bounces up on its own, doesn't it? As you scroll the thing.
I think you can kind of control it, can't you, with a lever on the side of the TV thing? I mean, it's pretty impressive that it works at all, and the fact that you put the weird smart Mario from the children's set on top of the TV, it starts playing the sound effects. It's pretty cool.
Oh, I didn't realize that. That's kind of neat.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Be quite expensive though. I would get it, but I never really had a NES, so I think that would be wrong. you know what I mean?
How many custom pieces do you think there are in that though? Or is it to make that carousel thing?
Well, it's tank tracks or something, isn't it? I wouldn't have thought they probably didn't come up with new stuff. They very rarely come up with more than a couple of new elements for any given set.
They're usually large bits of bodywork, aren't they? For
yeah,
or they used to be for their like vehicle or ship bits and.
Yeah, I still really don't. I like modern Lego a lot, but I really don't like their airline, giant nose pieces, airliners and stuff.
I only really remember. I don't know what they look like, but now I'm just imagining. Oh, they just made a giant plastic tube and put it in a box and called it Lego.
Well, yeah, that was pretty much one of the ways they did planes in the past.
They were cool they didn't look very accurate or anything, but at least the ones that we were making were built up out of bricks. I had the airport, and that was awesome. I mean, didn't look as accurate, but it was cool.
Is that because the modern sets have to license the planes?
No, I don't think so. They just make it up for the Lego City. I don't think there's anything licensed in Lego City at all. They just make up their own brands like Octan or whatever.
Oh, sure.
Brands that outlast real brands. I don't think there's
outlasted Mobile.
Well, Mobile's still around, isn't it? Exxon Mobil.
Yeah, I think
it's a sub brand of Exxon, isn't it? Yeah.
Patronus.
That's a Harry Potter thing, isn't it? No.
Oh wait.
No.
It's pretty close, but yeah.
I don't think there's any licensed stuff in Lego City range, but there's plenty of licensed Lego. I think they still do that weird thing where the normal Lego, the faces are yellow, but in all the licensed stuff they have skin tone. So,
oh, weird! I've never noticed that.
Yeah, it wasn't always true, but
Huh. And see, now I'm wondering if because Gnome and I played through the first the two of the Lego Harry Potter games, and now I'm trying to remember, and maybe they were skin tone. I can't. I think maybe the Lord of the Ring ones, I vaguely remember them being skin tone. But
yeah, there's only
maybe even the Marvel ones as well. Actually, thinking about it, yeah, you might be right.
Yeah, it's
weird.
It's quite weird.
I'm finding it stranger that I didn't notice until
I know.
I figured it out.
It's because when it's a video game, you're not perceiving it as Lego quite so much.
I guess, yeah.
What do you think? Why did you play? Is there a Lord of the Rings or a Hobbit, a Lego? Oh, there must be.
Yeah. There's Lord of the Rings Lego games.
There's very few Lord of the Rings sets. There were a few, but they were mostly Hobbit sets. But I think when they did the Hobbit, they'd got the license and did a few Lord of the Rings sets, but they're quite rare now. They did Helm's Deep and stuff like that, but there's only a few, and they're quite hard to come by.
The Lord of the Rings Lego games were notable because that was when they dropped the idea that the Lego characters had to be silent.
Oh, okay.
And they for that first game, I believe they literally just used the film's audio put over Lego characters, so there wasn't even new voice work, I don't think.
Oh, that's weird.
Yeah. It was either that or Batman. Batman might have been the first talkie, but Lord of the Rings was weird because of that whole film audio thing. As a result, I think it lost a lot of its slapstick humor because they had to put the humor somehow around all the existing audio, and it wasn't quite the same. But it did open the doors to mean they could do Lego City Undercover. with its
which was pretty
original
cool.
script. Yeah.
Yeah. I guess now you could do like a Lego movie kind of.
Oh, I think they have, haven't they? Like Lego Movie the game.
Yeah,
Like they've done that weird go back.
But you could set a game like Lego City Undercover in the city from the movie, I guess. Could you? Although maybe it would be a bit much.
Maybe. Yeah, I suppose you could.
I don't know what's going on with that franchise at the moment, the Lego movie, because you saw the second one, right?
I've seen the second one. Yeah, it's. I mean, it's not a patch on the first, but it's still still enjoyable.
Yeah, I saw the Batman one. That was okay.
Yeah, Batman. That was just okay. If you ask me,
Yeah.
that was like, it was another one of those where actually some of the best jokes were in the trailer again. And the rest was just sort of okay, you know.
Yeah, that is true.
Maybe it's just one of those things that the whole premise and how clever it was what the tech was like when they made the first one to make it look so real Lego, except very little of it is actually real Lego, and it's and it was funny and new and fresh. And then when they do it 3 more times, it's just like, you've done this joke.
Oh.
There's only so many jokes about the. Is it the Naggle or something? Is that what the first film's about?
The Nazgul.
The Nazgul? The Razagul?
I don't know what they are. It's the Craggle.
The Craggle. There we go. That's it.
That's the crazy clue, right? The Craggle.
Yeah. Craggle. Most dangerous substance.
Talia Razal Ghul. That was so fucking obvious in the Dark Knight Rises.
The third Batman.
Man, that was
the third Nolan Batman.
That's such a weird film, that, because it has some good stuff in it, but it just doesn't hold together structurally. It's just weird.
It's a bit nuts.
Yeah.
Although Gnome did suggest maybe I need one of those. We were talking about getting stupid face masks. Like,
oh right, yeah.
What's an inventive
get a
face
Bane
mask?
one?
Whether you could get a Bane one.
But no, incredibly not inventive.
I took on the mask.
It's incredibly obvious.
Well, yeah. But if it changed my voice,
that would be great. If someone could make a Bane mask for COVID, that would actually change your voice.
Someone probably already has. Wouldn't be surprised at all.
It would be extremely painful.
I must talk like a straight Sean Connery.
I need to find, like, I'm sure it must have been a joke thing or something, but someone saying that from the time that line, because he doesn't actually say it a stupid way. He said it in an okay way. He says, it will be extremely painful for you, like this. But in somewhere I heard him saying, for you, like this. I don't know where it was from.
What if it's an outtake or something? Or maybe it's somewhere else in the film.
Yeah, maybe it's an outtake. Or like, I know they changed the voice from the trailer, didn't they? So, because it was completely unintelligible in the original trailer. So they like re-recorded it so it was slightly more understandable.
I suppose they can do a lot of that when he's in a mask.
Exactly. Yeah, no lip syncing required.
It's like he's just doing the same thing that he did in 90. No, it wasn't 90. It was Dunkirk. Sorry, yeah, where he's basically just eye acting the entire time because he's basically wearing
a mask,
flight mask.
He sounds a bit like Bane, even in obviously even in Dunkirk. Not quite as extreme.
No extra high pitches.
The sound of Bane. He got killed so quickly as well. It's like he's the main villain, and then it's like, oh no, it's a switcheroo. It's actually the girl or whatever. And then I actually blink and you miss it when he actually gets killed. So dumb. And she's not got much character other than being a woman.
French.
French woman.
I forget. Does she have a French accent? Because she is French.
It's a French actress, but I don't know
Yeah.
if she's meant to be French because she's meant to be the daughter of what's his name? Qui-Gon Schindler. What's his name?
Ra's al Ghul.
Liam Neeson.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Liam Neeson's Ra's al Ghul.
Yeah. Is Liam Neeson in that one? He isn't. No, because he must have got.
He
Does he
might
get
have
killed
been
in Batman
f-
Begins? I can't remember.
Yeah, because it ends with Batman's line where he's like, I can't kill you, but I don't have to save you.
Right.
While he's on the train that's got the weird bomb thing on. Or something.
Yeah. Man, I haven't seen that one for a while.
Yeah, I haven't seen any of them for a long time. Thinking about it, like my memory's starting to get fuzzy on them.
If I'm going to rewatch one, I'll rewatch The Dark Knight. I've definitely seen that.
Oh yeah. That'd be amazing.
That's by far the best one. But that also means that's the one I've seen the most.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Noam and I picked up a Netflix account.
Oh yeah. What's been your
Finally.
first thing that you've dived into?
I've watched quite a few things because there's quite a lot there that I've not had access to before, or there's a few things that are only Netflix.
Yeah. Tons that's only Netflix.
It's been the only Netflix stuff has been pretty hit or miss, to be honest.
Oh yeah. You have to go on recommendations.
Yeah.
Like originally, the Netflix
the
original
problem-
stuff was like they were trying to go for high quality, like HBO or something. But after a while, they realized they can make more money by just making literally everything.
Yeah. I mean, there's loads of it, which is great, but like the problem with some of its more interesting ideas have so much. There's a touch of the too much American to them.
Sure.
Like Floor is Lava, for instance. In
Right.
concept, I can't help but think, oh, this is really quite good. And like, oh, you've built some really elaborate sets, and you've got a fun editing trick where people fall in the lava and then they're never seen again. Like they don't ever show them like recovering or swimming back to the shore or something like that. No, they just disappear. It's great. That's the cleverest thing that show does. The rest of it is done in annoying American narrator voice. Chad is going to jump to the box. It's about 6 feet away. I don't think I can make that jump. It's about 6 feet away. Chad is questioning whether he can jump to the box that is 6 feet away. It's like there's a lot of. It's like, and they'll be like, this team are doing it a different way to the previous team. Show a clip of the previous team doing it that we watched about 5 minutes ago. It's appalling.
Yeah.
It's like it is suffering from like horrendous. If they halved the length of it, got rid of the narrator and just let it flow, it would probably be good. But it's just Americaned up the wazoo, and it's awful. It's such a painful watch. And we found that about a few of the other Netflix, because Nailed It sounds like it might be a good idea, because it's an amateur baking show. Can't be bad, right? Bake Off is good. I was like, no, they've somehow managed to find a way to American that to hell as well.
Yeah.
And it's just too painful to watch.
Yeah, it's Americanized.
The Eurovision film, however, solid gold.
Really, I need to watch.
I love it.
Yeah.
It's pretty good. And
Yeah,
Noam's been unfortunately listening to the soundtrack on loop about the house, so it's there's a lot of Yaya Ding Dong going on.
Excellent.
And Radio 2 actually made the sort of big moment song their song of the week.
Okay.
It's really strange.
It's a weird phenomenon. This what's it? Will Ferrell is into Eurovision, evidently.
Yeah, the two lead characters that are supposed to be Icelandic are played by an American and a Canadian.
Yeah.
Two nations that can't be in it. You've got Pierce Brosnan being a Icelandic dad as well.
Bronholm.
Yep. It's a strange film, but it's quite funny.
To give that a shot. I'm trying to think what the top tippity top Netflix content is if you're starting out.
I mean, I'd quite like the
Netflix original.
Like Stranger Things is. Yeah, Stranger Things is definitely on my list.
Stranger
I want to
Things.
hit that.
The best TV show on Netflix is Better Call Saul, but you kind of need to have watched Breaking Bad to get them to be into
which
that.
they have got as well. In fairness,
you could just watch that. But that's not.
I don't know if I don't know if we'll get known into that. Is the problem. So it's like
just watch the first episode of Breaking Bad.
we only really watch stuff with her is the thing around here. So it's, I'm watching One Punch Man though, because why wouldn't I? It's great.
Yeah, I'm watching this documentary on there. I'm watching this one about for some reason about Michael Jordan, even though I know nothing at all about basketball. But it's about like the Chicago Bulls, like the last season that they were of their winning streak with Michael Jordan in the late 90s. And
Space Jam.
Yeah, basically Space Jam. Despite it's a really well put together documentary and interesting, even though I know nothing at all about basketball, it's almost better that way. Although I don't know. It's called The Last Dance because it's like the last time around for the team.
I see. I'd probably find that title quite confusing, lest I know what it's about.
Yeah. Well, luckily on Netflix, there's loads of imagery everywhere, so you're definitely going to see it alongside a picture of Michael Jordan.
Perhaps I should have called it Boom Shakalaka.
I also recommend Hip Hop Evolution is a good documentary series on Netflix. Okay. Yeah, really good.
I think you mentioned that before.
It's like 4 seasons of it now. Yeah, so I definitely check that out.
Yeah. There's a number of stuff I'd quite like to watch. Like I'd seen the start of Disenchantment as well. I'd seen the first few episodes.
Oh yeah,
it'd be nice to get back into that.
Matt Groening one, isn't it?
Yeah, I quite liked how that started. So it'd be nice to see finish that off. Gnome's been binging all the Big Bang series we haven't watched for years.
Oh, is that on there?
Yeah,
I saw this week that after all these years, Spaced has now appeared on Netflix this week for some reason. It hasn't been on before this week. So
both Netflix and Prime have, for some reason, started getting a lot of British TV, like old school British TV stuff, and which is weird given that they aren't like Channel 4 and ITV and the BBC launching BritBox as well, or have launched.
Oh, I don't. Yeah,
and it's like why would they launch that and then sell their stuff to the other platforms?
Well,
it's like BritBox like failed within like a week or something.
I don't know. I think
it's really strange.
Yeah,
but hey, it's there, and that means there's the adverts for Dairy Girls all over Netflix.
Oh yeah, Dairy Girls. Yeah, well, that's pretty good.
It is pretty good. I'll give it.
There's not much of it, but it's really good.
No. And the other thing we've been watching, which isn't on Netflix, is for some reason we've started watching House from the beginning.
Classic.
I forget how long it takes for it to fall into to become slightly less formulaic, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Like how many? And it takes it like I didn't realize this, but the whole "it's not lupus" thing. It takes like 11 episodes before it even gets to the word lupus.
Oh really? Okay. Well, that was
it's way later than I thought.
Yeah. I watched on my birthday Hamilton because someone lent me their Disney Plus login.
I forget. Did we talk about this on last cast? I seem to remember you saying that.
Did we talk about it? Anyway,
I think we talked about House as well.
Oh, yeah, okay, right.
But anyway, my point there was they're connected. Did we talk about that on the last podcast?
Maybe. Time is irrelevant.
Time is a flat circle. Okay, I'll leave that one because we probably just wind back and you could hear me having the exact same conversation.
I don't like it. Or at least I don't really like the music from Hamilton. I've said that many times as well. Yeah. It's not hip hop. It's too musical tinged.
I mean, it's definitely a hybrid. It's not pure hip hop, that's for sure. Yeah,
but that something about musicals. We watched Pitch Perfect 2. That was like the first thing Gnome watched on Netflix.
Okay,
and it's like because it was there, and it's like why don't I make you feel better and put this on and I walk off. But I ended up getting drawn in because that happened. It's like it's not a good film. Like. I don't know. I quite enjoyed it the first time I watched it, but it was like watching it again. It's like this is bad.
I mean, for me, like it helps that Anna Kendrick is attractive. that helps watching those movies.
There's an element of that. Yeah. There's an element that most of the cast is fairly attractive. But
yeah.
Something for the lads.
Exactly. Anyway. She's always wearing like low cut tops and stuff in movies as well, like in Twilight. Anyway,
I didn't realize she was even in Twilight.
Yeah, she's like the friend, isn't she?
I mean, I've never watched them, so it's...
I've only ever watched them with the riff tracks, which I highly recommend. It's hilarious.
I just can't.
I've seen all of them because of riff tracks. It was a long time ago now. Once I watched the last one with like John and Vanessa with riff tracks. It was really fun. Because like they have a giant battle at the end, right? Obviously, or whatever. Maybe not at the end, but I can't remember. But there's a battle between werewolves and the standard. But they're literally like popping. They like get them in a headlock and sort of twist their heads off, pop off their heads. It looks ridiculous. It's the stupidest thing. Anyway,
it's also more violent than I was expecting.
It's very violent. Yeah, it's pretty violent. Yeah,
young adult violence. What is
weird.
that noise? There's sorry to interrupt your regularly scheduled podcast, but there's some just like random banging that seems to be occurring like outside my window, and it's been happening all day at random intervals. I've got no idea what it is. It might be something landing on the roof of our bay window, but it's like we had a look and there's nothing there. It's disconcerting. So if you hear any random loud noises, my house is doing things.
I haven't heard anything yet, so I think we're good.
Good.
Cool.
My house is alive.
Yes, Netflix. There's some weird stuff on there. There's a new thing by the guy who did Adventure Time, which is adult, not children's at all, called The Midnight Gospel, which is basically like a podcast. It seems like it's adapted podcast by this stoner guy, but really like crazily like acid trip animated, Pendleton Ward style. It's called The Midnight Gospel. I would check out the first episode of that and see what you think. I don't know how long they are. They can't be that long, 15 minutes. That never happens.
It hasn't happened for so long. Do carry on.
Do you watch Netflix, Zach? Do your parents got any accounts?
I haven't watched any TV stuff at all for a long time. Or TV-related stuff, I guess.
No.
Basically, since last time I went to Rob's, I guess. Would be the last time I watched anything along those lines.
Anything TV-ish? Do you never go downstairs and watch TV in the lounge?
No.
In the living
I mean,
room?
they're always watching
the room?
TV, but I'm not going to watch any of the crap that they watch. Because they've watched like all of Big Bang Theory and Young Sheldon, and now they're on to Friends, and I'm just like,
no.
Really?
Do they have streaming services there, or do they just watch it?
Yeah, they have something down there. I forget. The box turned up at some point, and I was like, "Oh, let me look at this menu and see what's on here." Oh, it's all crap I don't care about. Okay,
it's all
bye.
crap. Okay, fair enough. That is the good thing about Netflix, is it does have crap and good stuff combined. Remind me, you call it the room, right? The living room, the front room. No, what?
Yes.
It's just called. What do you call it?
Whatever.
Just trying to remember. I definitely always called it the living room.
And also, it got rearranged at some point because we got new couches. But I don't know why this is a thing. I guess it's because in order to fit the TV against the wall on one side, there's a fireplace on one of the walls. See, obviously, you can't put
that one's out.
You can't put it up against that one. But then there's a window on the second of the wall, so that one's out. And then where it used to be was the wall where is not the wall with the door, but the wall directly opposite where the door goes in, because the door comes in right on the corner of that room. And apparently that was annoying because it was like, it slightly obstructs you as you walk in. So that's 3 of the walls out, so you have to put it on the 4th wall.
Right.
But the problem with the 4th wall is it's directly opposite the fireplace. So now when you've got the sofas, you have them parallel, but perpendicular to where the TV is. So it's like you're sitting and looking at right angles to the direction you're sitting.
Yeah. Not so much a fan of that.
Used to have my living room set up like that way back in the
I remember that.
But it was a bit weird.
It's sort of okay because of size. I think there's a certain size point where it seems to work okay, or if you've got enough couches where 2 people can just lay on the couch.
Yeah, because they were 3-seater sofas opposite each other, facing each other, but they were like basically one person lying on them, which is really dumb. I mean, thinking back, that's quite a weird arrangement. Because I guess the idea was that when they had all their like many dinner parties that like 7 people would sit, 3 on each sofa facing each other having a talk or whatever. But that never happens, does it? In practice, like one person's on each of those sofas lying and watching the TV at the end.
At least it was with us.
Yeah, well, yeah.
We're not exactly a dinner party.
No, but it's not like they were having any. I can't remember any family gatherings where people sat like that. Very seldom, sometimes. But I think people definitely rearrange their houses sometimes, in service of things that don't happen very often, right?
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah.
Also, it's generally just, I don't know, I guess it's just a more convenient layout for where furniture could be.
Yeah, I don't know
without needing it to be in like dead space or something like that. And it's just,
yeah,
it's probably one of those things that conceptually looks nice if you were trying to snap sofas to a grid or something on.
Yeah,
but it's just not actually that practical for the job you do on that sofa in that space.
I don't know how I would arrange that room or double room if I owned it now.
For starters, do it fairly similarly, but just put
probably
a couch in front rather than that single chair.
Yeah, maybe. But then you'd have to walk past it on one side or either side. Yeah.
Or maybe you V-shape everything.
Ooh. Yeah, put the TV... Oh, I don't know. Anyway, that room was huge.
Or do you swap it all around? Yeah, so you have like where you had bookcases on one wall, didn't you?
Yeah, we did, yeah.
Like and you could get rid of the bookcases and put the TV on that space and then just...
Yeah.
Wrap around U-shaped couch around the other thing. Yeah, there's things you could have done. You've got so much room in that room.
Definitely options. Yeah.
It's not like windows in incorrect places or walls with extra doors in them, like I have, that are just like, there's only one way I can lay out this room sensibly.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty much. I think you've got the optimum setup, Rob, I would say. Although the big chair, it's quite a weird viewing angle for the TV, but
ugly chair, but there's nowhere else I can go.
No.
Well, unless I get rid of my desk, but then there's nowhere else for the desk to go, really.
Yeah. I think that sofa was a big upgrade, in my opinion.
My arse currently agrees.
Indeed. Cool.
Currently.
Sometimes it's not into it, but most of the time.
My arse has mixed opinions about most things. Talks a lot of shit.
Right, speaking of which, should we do the news?
I mean, we can.
News!
We can. Not much groundbreaking news these last 2 weeks, even though we theoretically had 2 of our E3 events in this past 2 weeks. Well, not E3, Summer Game Fest, whatever Keeley deems it to be. We had the Devolver Expo, and we had Ubisoft Forward. I think in that order. And not masses to really talk about from them, really. But Devolver did their super strange presentation, continuing their weird plot line they've had for the last few years. Just something about the future's future that they're trying to not be the future's future. They're killing it off, and thus there's an incredibly complicated and angry-looking set of women.
Right.
Like being businessy and mean. I don't know. It was a very strange thing. It's continued to be strange. It's hard to follow. There was a lot more of that than there were video game news.
I see.
It's strange. But it wasn't really massively a huge amount of announcements, I'd say, from them anyway. So, because we've got another Shadow Warrior game coming, Shadow Warrior 3, which actually looked like it might be fun in a kind of bullet stormy, sort of old school shootery kind of way. There's been a lot of those about at the moment, but this one looked a little bit of a cut above, I suppose, than what we've seen on that style. If you can get over the potentially stereotypically racist portrayal of its main character, I don't know what ground that falls into now. It's like, I think originally it was kind of just, your Asian samurai's not samurai stereotype, so says Asian-y sort of things in a bad accent.
Right.
It's kind of still that, and I don't really know how that sits these days.
Yeah, I mean, people are definitely, as if they weren't already sensitive to that sort of thing. Justifiably, by the way. Current times are certainly amplifying it.
Yeah, that's bold. Let's put it that way. I suppose Devolver are never not bold in some way. So there was that. They showed a little bit of Fall Guys, which my brother is really interested in, which is you're a weird fluffy looking, well, I wouldn't say fluffy, you're sort of a weird pudgy, wobbly looking creature that animates like it's from Gang Beasts, trying to do a bit of a running gauntlet basically, but there's like 60 players in it at the same time, and it's last man standing through this like these gauntlet-like challenges, and according to my brother, it's quite a lot of fun. I think he's been playing some kind of closed beta or something, and that is due out in August. So there was that. They got Phil Spencer in to have a quick chat with a fake blob of flesh, weird model thing, to celebrate the release of Carrion, which is coming out on July 23rd on Game Pass. Which is like a 2D. Well, you play as the blob, really. This massive, like, redness and tentacles that you're. I don't really know what you do in it, but you're just sort of platforming-ish kind of thing, murdering the inhabitants of this facility. I don't quite know what it's about. I assume you can die by getting shot or something. So there are bits where you're using tentacles to mind control people, and then have them shoot against each other and things like that.
As you do.
Yeah, it's been it's come up quite a bit over the years. So like it's like for it to be finally coming out is something. But yeah, I don't actually really know much about how that thing plays. I just know how it looks. Then there was a load of fake announcements. Oh, sorry, Karen.
I was just gonna say, do you remember that game, The Darkness, where you like controlled like weird, like
yeah, you had like a snake monster, snake monster, or something that lived in you.
In you, yeah. Oh, that was weird. Anyway, sorry, diversion.
Yeah. Fake announcements. Getting Down with Bennett Foddy, Beans, and Sonic Fox's Fairy Fighter 4. Not real announcements, but they spend some time on that for some reason. Olija, I think it's Olija, which looks like some kind of samurai-esque 2D pixely brawler tale. A little bit like The Messenger, maybe a little bit like Ninja Gaiden sort of style, except your weapon is some kind of sword harpoon. So you attach to things and can string them around a bit. It's kind of looked interesting. Serious Sam 4, because somehow they've only got to 4, as Zach said earlier before we started recording.
Yeah. I mean, have you seen footage of that? As usual, they're like, every generation it's like, well, how can we get reasonably modern graphics with like 1 billion fucking enemies on screen at once? And then it happens again. Next generation, it's like, well, things have to look better, but we need 1 billion enemies.
To be honest, I thought it looked quite jank in the trailer they showed so far. The frame, it's hard to tell with like online videos and stuff, because I think frame rates look jank in most online videos for these sort of presentations. There's something that never quite right about it, and this looks particularly jank. But the Nunchucketeer skeleton things were back, and the bulls and the weird cyborgs. It looked like it had all the same enemies. I'm not sure I spotted anything new. You know, the headless guys with bombs in their hands that somehow still scream.
Yeah. Classic.
Which was really funny in the first game, but I'm not sure.
Once, years
still
ago.
Funny. Yeah. And also their final game-ish sort of thing that they released is Devolver Land Expo, which is a virtual expo experience you can download and play right now off of Steam.
What? Pretend you're at E3.
But yeah, pretend you're at some kind of Devolver exposition with like stands for all the games I just mentioned.
Oh, that's dumb.
Even though they don't exist. I mean, there's some sort of game there as well, but like loosely, it's yeah, doubly weird. And that was Devolver. That's all they had to say this year. No, my friend Pedro level craziness of games with no bananas trying to talk you into murdering people. So then we had Ubisoft Forward, which again, I'm just going to say it from the beginning here, pretty underwhelming. Because for starters, we didn't get a Just Dance intro, which I know would have been practically impossible to film right now. But where's my dancing panda, yo? Where's my terrible celebrity endorsement?
And no, there isn't one.
There isn't one. No, there'll be a Just Dance game, probably. There'll be a 2021 or whatever. They just decided not to talk about it now. Or maybe there won't be. Maybe Just Dance is dead. I doubt it.
I highly doubt it.
Instead, they opened with Watchdog Legions, which, we haven't seen for quite a while, and was one of those games that was supposed to come out early in the year.
Yeah.
And then Ubisoft did this, had a bit of a moment, and we're like, well, we're going to delay everything because we're not sure our games are good right now.
Oh, okay.
That was pretty much what they said. They because Division 2 or something had been underwhelming.
No, it was the Ghost Recon, whatever that last
That was
weird
it.
open world one was.
Yes.
Oh, Wildlands, yeah. Is that right?
Well remembered.
Wildlands, the second one.
It was the one after that, yeah.
Oh.
Because Wildlands was okay, but yeah, they did another one, didn't they? That was like didn't have like Game of Thrones actors in it or something. Something.
They all do.
Yeah. Yeah, and that didn't exactly go down well. So they had a bit of a wobble and like, well, we're going to push everything back and spend more time on them because good games do better for us in the long run. Fair enough, I guess. So it's actually going to come out October. We have a release date of October 29th. I can't say I'd see much changed in that game since the previous time they showed it though. There wasn't a lot of gameplay shown, at least not during the event. They did have some streaming afterwards, and maybe they showed a bit more there, but I didn't watch any of that. So that might be good to go back and see. But my main takeaways are that hey, I'm still interested in the idea. It looks pretty cool. Their take on London is neat. And I think I'm more okay with this idea of like, hey, recruit everyone, and you could have random people doing random things, and random builders, and drone experts, and stuff like that, all with different skill sets, and you finding things that might work and might not. And it's like, that sounds kind of cool. I think their faces look terrible,
Oh.
like really bad. Like I expect way more. It's just something about the animation is off, and they don't even look quite right. It looks like it's almost last gen faces. It's weird, almost Sims, if I'm thinking about it. But the Sims are more emotive.
Weird.
Yeah.
What? Okay.
Just go watch the thing. Make your own opinions, obviously. But I don't. It just seemed strangely off. Although, maybe, as Zach mentioned before we started recording, they're probably all going to be wearing masks, or could all wear masks at some point, right? Because it's dead set.
Right.
It's kind of what
you'll
they're
be
supposed
playing
to
as
be
them,
doing.
so you'll be seeing them provide.
Well, yeah, there's that as well. But cutscenes, man. And I know they've probably made it difficult for themselves because they're having to have any number of potential cookie cutter characters fulfill a role in that game. So when you get to a cutscene, any one of your randomly generated people may have to take that place in the cutscene.
Yeah, but they
depending
already
on
talked about that though, didn't they?
Yeah. They've still got to do it though, and like, yeah, that's probably why the faces aren't up to snuff. But they could be better than what they are. Then they randomly talked about Brawlhalla. Don't think there was anything interesting to say there. They talked about a couple of mobile games. They talked about Might of Magic Era of Chaos that I think has been out for a while. They had a incredibly fancy Team Fortress 2 style or Overwatch-esque trailer for Tom Clancy's Elite Squad, which looks to be which they showed off last year. It seems to be a sort of mobile tactics game of some description, but not tactics in the way of like an XCOM, but in tactics in the sort of 5v5 battle kind of way. It looks kind of bad. And this is an incredibly elaborate trailer that is nothing like the game. Rainbow Six Siege, they just wanted to say, hey, we're still working on Siege. Nothing to announce.
DLC map packs.
No, they didn't even really say anything. They were just like, hey, Rainbow Six Siege, it's big.
It's a thing.
Thanks for still playing it, all of you people. Thanks. Bye.
Okay, thanks, bye.
And then they showed us a little bit more of Hyperscape, which is Ubisoft's Battle Royale, because it turns out they hadn't put one out yet. So there you go. If you want some Apex Legends set in a more of a city environment, and with a virtual world setting that is pretty much ripped straight out of Ready Player One, this is the game for you.
Okay. I mean, quite like that concept, I think.
I mean, with being fair to it, it doesn't look like there's anything particularly wrong with it. Like it looked like it played well. Its glitches, as they call them, its power up sort of system looked kind of fun and interesting. Mix things up a little bit. The environment was way more vertical than I think, because it's mostly building based and things like that. So like all the characters seem to have exaggerated jumping powers, so you can leap between rooftops and things like that. And it's like it's got a little bit of a unique flavor to it, but it's still a battle royale at the end of the day, that is slotting somewhere in between all of the. It feels like it's in between all of the players at the moment, is how I would describe it. Like it's got a bit of Fortnite's vibrancy with a bit of Apex's like gunplay and movement. And then they cyber it up a little bit. I don't know. Maybe a bit
sprinkling a bit of cyber in there.
Yeah, maybe a bit of Valorant's like character design. I don't know, stuff like that. It feels like it's sat somewhere in the middle, which I think is a problem, because it's like it doesn't mean it really stands out. Also, they did make a whole sort of big deal about the creativity of this game, which never helps, right? They're sort of like, we thought about this amazing setting, which you'll never really get to experience because it's a battle royale game, and it's like, yeah, we thought of this like amazing world where it's like a dystopian future, but they created this game called the Hyperspace that everyone lives in now, and it's like it's Ready Player One.
Yeah,
it's just like, don't even try and mask this as being creative. It's like you've ripped off the entire thing.
It's not even as if Ready Player One is like the most original thing in the world.
No, it's just don't try it. Like reference it or something, or get the license. Just get the license; it would be fine. Especially given there's Ready Player 2, the book is about to come out apparently.
Oh really? Oh no.
Yeah.
Okay, fair.
So there was that. And then we got to see a little bit more of Assassin's Creed Valhalla, because of course we did.
Natch.
I gotta admit, yeah, I mean, setting-wise, yeah, I'm all in. It looks real good. I'm a big fan of Vikings. World looks nice, the characters look nice, the portrayal of them. They tried to say, it's like, hey, we're trying to dispel the myth a little bit of Norse people. They're just farmers looking for somewhere to farm, and they came from places where there wasn't really a lot of decent land for farming. So they come into England to rape and pillage everyone.
Yeah, great.
It's like totally dispelling the myth.
Got no farmland already.
It's so dumb.
I think their reputation is well earned, to be honest.
Yeah, exactly. And then that's one of the first bits of gameplay they show. So here we are pillaging a village. It's almost like it's not quite as bad, but it's almost as real Japanese battles that actually took place in
Ancient Japan, yeah.
So here's the giant enemy crab. It's we're dispelling the myth about Vikings, so let's go pillaging. And on top of that, I actually thought the bits where they showed gameplay, that's clearly a evolution on the engine they were using for Origins and Odyssey. It's not like reinventing the wheel.
No, yeah. I mean, that was a fairly solid basis, right? I mean, it's worked.
Yeah. It's When Origins changed things up, it was well received, and Odyssey was a refinement on that was also well received.
Yeah.
They're adding a dual wielding system to this one. Seems to be their main differentiator. But it's a dual wielding system that means you can dual wield a little bit like Halo 2's actually. It's like anything that's a dual wield weapon you can put in any hand. So if you want 2 shields, you can do that. You can fight shield only.
Okay, so you could just do like a shield whack like in God of War, but then followed up by another one.
Or you can swing them around so the edges are hitting people. Yeah. Or you can do like a battering ram charge just with 2 shields in front of you and be like, "Rah!"
That'd be great. Okay, fair
I mean,
enough.
It looks kind of fun, but some of the combat animation I thought looked kind of jank, and I think it's just because we've been spoiled a little bit by things like God of War and stuff like that recently, where it's just like I think this should look better than this now.
Yeah,
but that's.
It's never.
I'm being highly critical, honestly, but it still looks pretty good. But it's still there was some jank like where it snapped between actions and things like that. Especially after that Ghost of Tsushima gameplay.
Well, that's
where
the
it's just
thing.
Everything looked super silky.
Yeah, it's like Assassin's Creed has always had okay combat, but it's never been like the focus, like in Batman or something like that. But now you've got games like Ghost of Tsushima, which are basically an Assassin's Creed game, but with combat like ripped from Batman and to a certain extent Dark Souls.
Yeah, to some extent, and the Tsushima's doing okay review wise. It's really gelling with some people, but not with others. But it seems like they've stolen a little bit of Assassin's Creed thunder. I'm with you there, and it's like they've made one of those.
Yeah, kind of
as a sort of checklist game, but set in a different setting. Yeah.
Talk about that now. I've seen a bit of that because my flatmate was playing it on Friday.
Oh yeah.
It's amazing looking. Obviously, it's it's stylized, right? So it's not.
Yeah.
So it can't really compare with Red Dead 2 in terms of the sort of freakish realism of Red Dead 2. Not that it looks, obviously, it's a little bit cartoonified or whatever in Red Dead 2, but it's there's certain things in the Tsushima world. It's you can kind of see, even though it looks beautiful, you can kind of see, okay, this is where the map designer has said the long grass should be, and here's the interface. You know what I mean? You can see kind of where things connect together and everything. Whereas in Red Dead, everything looks freakishly blended together, like the real world. I don't know how to explain.
Well, Red Dead has they biome it in a way, don't they? But they don't just biome it; they biome the transition. As well. So when you're moving into the snowy area, the snow starts quite a long way before you're in full snow, and it's nicely done that. And it's
everything.
The world
about
feels
that.
colder before you get there.
Yeah. So this in Tsushima, it's but there is a lot of leaves. There's a lot of nature everywhere, compared to their previous games, and there's a lot of wind. Obviously the wind simulation is obviously in Red Dead the wind simulation was amazing, but it's not part of the gameplay really, apart from have you ever been in a storm in Red Dead? It's freaking awesome.
I don't know that I have. I may have seen one from afar, but I don't know if I've been actually in it.
Yeah, riding through a storm is pretty crazy because it starts really whipping those trees around. It looks pretty cool. Whereas in Tsushima, it's that's kind of part of the mechanic is that the wind is constantly changing direction because it's basically telling you where to go. So it's quite weird. But it does interact constantly with the like the leaves on the trees and the grass, so it's like constantly blowing everywhere. And then there's like masses of particles for like falling trees and things all the time, which blossom and things because it's stylized.
It's stylized like like samurai films.
Yeah,
it?
exactly.
And they to the point where they put that specific Seven Samurai mode.
Yeah, it's got a Kurosawa mode, which all it does is turn it black and white and put on like a heavy film grain on it. But it does look really cool. You probably wouldn't play it that way, but yeah. So the combat look. I haven't had a chance to actually feel it myself, but the animation is pretty slick, and it just sort of, I don't know, the sound effects as well together like make the swords like feel like much more impactful than in Assassin's Creed, but at the same time it's clearly not full on like God of War level combat, obviously.
Sure.
So it's like somewhere in between, like it's like an Assassin's Creed with good combat rather than a
Careful now.
Do you know what I mean?
That sounds like a heady mix.
Yeah, I mean, I have a feeling it's going to be like it's got an amazing opening, and then it's going to be, even though they've tried to hide the fact that, they're trying to make it so that you haven't got a map full of markers and you click and the waypoint gets set and everything. They're trying to like hide that away, but I think it's still there, right? It's still one of those games, I think.
No, a lot of the takeaways, as I said earlier, I've heard is like if you're looking for a slow burn checklist game, which sometimes I am, in fairness.
Sometimes you are, yeah. I have a lot of patience for open world games, you know me. So I'm kind of interested.
I'm still despite the fact that I think both the reviews and that gameplay reveal like lowered my expectations.
Yeah,
I think they were lowered appropriately now.
Yeah, I'm kind of more excited more interested than I was having seen that gameplay demo. I don't know why. The world looks better in the real game, and when you playing it, than it did in that one open world demo. I think anyway. I guess it's probably the same, but maybe the area of the map that they were looking at wasn't the most interesting or something. I don't know. Anyway, but yeah, I kind of think it's definitely beautiful. There's no denying. So.
Or was it the perpetual requirement that they wanted to always show it in twilight? You see, most of the trailer footage and like pre-game stuff was always low-hanging sun,
because it has
rather than
real time, time of day or whatever, like a proper open world game.
I don't think they showed much of it, like midday sun or whatever like that. So I'm not sure you were getting the full pop. They always wanted to show like the how the grass shimmers in the wind and that kind of stuff, Or I suppose there was some bright stuff, but like normally it was like it's still fairly low hanging sun, but enough so it shines through trees, and stuff like that. Yeah, interesting. Yeah, it's still a game I'd probably quite like to go for.
I think as long as you don't not overhyped on it, I think it's it will be a fun time. And if you don't, I think it'll be a fun time. I think it might get repetitive, that's all. But that's what that happens with Assassin's Creed 2, to be honest. So, we have to see how much story justification they give to things, right? Because the opening has the acting and stuff is pretty strong, actually. And even though, like, obviously it's super tropes, right? It's just Japanese samurai cinema tropes up the yin yang. It's all Bushido totally and revenge and all that stuff. It's like
I do not care. You can
super
throw tropes
cliche
at me like that all day, and I'm happy.
But yeah, if you're into that kind of cliched Bushido stuff, then I think it's done really well in the opening. So we'll have to see how that continues.
I hope my worry is that there's not enough story potentially, because I kind of want that. I want the drama, like those moments where there's just two people standing again, like across from each other in a bamboo forest. And
well, it does. It even has this stupid mechanic where, like, when you first encounter a group of enemies, you can do a standoff where you like walk towards them slowly, holding a triangle or whatever, and then the moment they attack, you release the button and just chop their head off. It's like the first enemy gets dealt with in a dramatic fashion.
Nice,
which is really dumb, but yeah,
that's so cool.
It's pretty cool. Anyway, that's that.
Ghost of Tsushima,
Ubisoft.
So yeah, Assassin's Creed Valhalla is that, but they did we've got one more thing, said Yves Guillemot. before they closed the show.
Just one more thing.
And that was an actual announcement. Far Cry 6.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the appropriate level of I suppose.
It's a game.
Just another Far Cry. But this time in fake Cuba.
Which seems like probably a more appropriate setting than the kind of weird American
Colorado
cult
or
thing.
whatever it was.
Yeah, that was weird. This kind of makes sense. And they're like, look, we got the guy from Breaking Bad. And that's it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Esposito.
Who, good. I mean, he's the same in everything. I love that he's the baddie in frickin' The Mandalorian as well.
No.
Basically the same guy, but with a weird lightsaber.
That's cool.
Yeah, it is cool, actually. Yeah, quite looking forward to seeing more of him. He's good. He's good as a baddie.
Probably quite typecast now, though.
Yeah, probably. But still. Because he's still playing the Breaking Bad baddie in Better Call Saul.
Well, that makes sense. It's the same world.
Which is pretty cool, yeah. So that's cool.
Yeah, I thought it was a nice cinematic they showed us, but we haven't seen any game or anything yet.
Yeah.
But you're right. I think the setting is more appropriate.
Has potential.
Far Cry Tropico is a better idea.
Yeah.
They showed some imagery that was felt like a throwback to Far Cry 3, specifically guy with flamethrower in a field.
Right. Yeah, I remember that mission.
Make it burn dem.
Far Cry 3 was good.
I still got to get around to playing it at some point. I still want to, but backlogs.
Well, maybe just wait for this one, won't we?
Well, maybe.
Oh, and the guy, by the way, if you're interested, the guy who was the lead baddie, charismatic baddie from the start of Far Cry 3, he's in Better Call Saul as a major character. That actor.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
The whole insanity guy.
Yeah, that guy.
There we go. And that was Ubisoft Forward. Still no mention of Beyond Good and Evil 2.
That's never going to be a thing, is it?
Oh, please be a thing.
How can it live up to those insane cinematics they showed?
I want it so bad.
Anywho. Right.
Yeah, there was that. Well, they didn't talk about Trackmania as well, which is out on Epic Game Store as well. There's a new Trackmania.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw the quick look because I know Jeff from Giant Bomb is well into Trackmania.
Mm.
And it's weird. The game looks good, but the menus look terrible, and it looks really confusing.
That is by far the opinion. That's all I see basically when I see anything about the new Trackmania is good God, these menus, and also subscriptions.
Right.
It's admittedly, it's free to play, and most of the good stuff is supposedly free. So yay that. But yeah, there's a subscription model if you want any more, and it's there's no I just want to buy the game and just own it, and that's it. That's me done. There's no option for that. The most you can have is a 3-year pass, which costs about as much as a game. So maybe that's enough for most people. Maybe 3 years you'll get another Trackmania game. But it sounds at the very least, it sounds like this might be better than that. Was it Trackmania Turbo?
Yeah.
Which I didn't hugely get on with in the end.
I think it definitely looks worth trying.
I mean, it's free. What can you lose?
Your time.
Your time, yeah. My time,
Yeah.
My time is important.
Could be spent on other games if you don't have other things to do.
I could go back and experience the hellscape that is Trackmania Nation still, probably.
Exactly.
And have a way better time. Quite possible. Just find another server that's constantly playing bad EDM. But
all of them.
All of them.
Right. Okay.
So that was the events. Other news, there's not a huge amount else going on. Game I've had my eye on. Well, it's been out on Switch since last year. But this little thing by Shinnon, who are the developers of Fast Racing series. They put something out called The Tourist last year, and that is being released on both PC and Xbox on July 30th, and will be available on Game Pass. So I'm totally going to play that.
Why didn't you play it on Switch?
Well, yeah, just other things going. Just other things. Literally, that's all it was. It's not like it's an expensive game. It's been like 18 quid. It's on sale now on Switch, I noticed. For like £13, I think. But yeah, I probably should have played that nearer the time. I'm into what it looks like, so I'm going to give that a go. Also, Halo 3 came out on PC, and is supposedly the best port job they've done yet.
Sweet. I'll probably play that when I'm finished with Halo 2.
Yeah, it's the other thing that goes alongside this release though is that they went back and fixed the audio issues in Reach.
Yeah, that's good.
Which is a big deal.
Yeah, because that means I can play Reach too. Sweet.
Yeah, because good God, that audio was bad.
Because honestly, I probably wouldn't have played it with the audio being that bad.
Yeah, it was atrocious. They haven't fixed the above 60 frames per second issues though. So if you're like me and have a high refresh scenario, don't.
Yeah.
Lock it to 60 and leave
it. Apparently it's good in Halo 3 though.
Yep, Halo 3 is perfect. To the point where the Digital Foundry breakdown was like, this video is a lot shorter than usual because there's really not that much to complain about.
Yeah. Halo 3 was a good one. Yeah, I remember it being good.
I think there are bits of Halo 3 that I really like. I think there's definitely bits of it that I really don't like as well.
Yeah.
For me, it's a bit of an up and a down game, but it deserves a decent port, and I'm glad they've done that. Still no word on anything like split screen though, or anything like that coming to the PC versions, which sucks.
I'm trying to think why I wasn't into it. I think I remember not being into the whole concept of the story-wise, the arc, but basically because
the arc is mad,
is stupid, right? Because like that, and also the whole point in the original game was that the Halos were
Dyson rings.
Yeah,
not Dyson spheres.
Rings.
They've got a name.
I'm not actually sure what their name is for that mega structure, but they're sort of halfway plausible as an actual thing. Whereas the arc it's like, wait, what was the point of having those be rings if you could just make a weird flower thing that has magic gravity?
Well, they've always kind of had magic gravity, right? Because
on the ships and stuff. Yeah, but not on the scale of why even bother building them as rings? When you can make the factory to build the rings is a sort of insane fantasy thing, magic thing. Yeah.
I think the story went places I don't hugely agree with, but the presentation of those story elements was very good.
Yeah, that's true.
I liked how the Arbiter and the rest of the rest of the elites in particular, how that whole storyline comes together is quite nice. And maybe not so much the flood stuff.
Yeah.
Even though that's kind of the focus, it's like some of the flood stuff and Gravemind I don't think works hugely well. But also those Gravemind levels are quite irritating.
Oh god! Oh, I remember that. Yeah. Oh yeah. There's a whole bit where you're all in crazy flood world, isn't there?
Yeah.
Oh, that's not so much fun.
When you're off to rescue Cortana finally.
Yeah, it's bad enough being in the library in the first game or whatever, let alone in full on.
But it's
flood zone.
Normally, right? Legendary mode in those games is actually quite fun.
Yeah.
But that section in particular, there were certain airborne flood now that just could attach themselves to any kind of wall and had ridiculous accuracy projectiles, and especially in flood land, they became almost impossible to see.
Yeah,
and I just I don't know, and that was where a lot of the design started to fall apart for me. In that one, it's just okay, you've managed to design something. You did so well with the first two, but you've managed to design something that's just 100% not fun. At least in Legendary, it's fine in Heroic.
Yeah. Well, I'm only playing heroic anyway. Legendary was pretty stupid in Halo 2 anyway.
Well,
It was
Cairo
fun.
Station in Halo 2
Yeah,
is
famously.
ridiculous.
I played through Reach originally on the 360 or whatever in Legendary, and that was fun.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, that was a good one in Legendary.
So some of the vehicle stuff in Halo 3 and Legendary is pretty annoying as well. I remember there were certain sections in that Zach and I really struggled with.
Right, yeah.
Wasn't there, like where there's lots of choppers about? And...
Yeah. The brute chopper things, yeah.
Yeah,
that's yeah. You have to just cheese everything in Legendary anyway, though, don't you?
pretty much.
Yeah. It's kind of fun in its own way. The only bit I remember from Reach and Legendary is the very end being really hard, but of course it is. That makes sense.
Yes, the end run.
Yeah.
Yep, so there's that. We talked about Ghost of Tsushima already, but
Yep.
Paper Mario Origami King is out and is
yeah.
considered okay, as in not as bad as the last two Paper Mario outings, but still not up to the 1,000-Year Door or even the first Paper Mario game standards.
Oh, really? Okay.
Like, it's okay. Like, it's basically they still, the general opinion seems to be that they should really stop going out of their way to try and make an RPG without RPG mechanics.
Yeah, I mean, just let the genre. I mean, it's not. I mean, you can make a light RPG. Just look at Pokemon.
Yeah, or even other little things like Child of Light comes to mind. Like, it's still an RPG and it still follows the RPG structure, but it's not hardcore.
Yeah,
And it was an enjoyable short experience. Like, I really love that thing actually, but it's just
yeah.
You don't have to go all the way deep to make an RPG.
No.
I mean, not even 1,000-Year Door really counts. Yeah, it had leveling and it had like flower points and it had points and numbers, but it's not. It's not super hardcore.
No, not at all. Well, they never were.
Right.
Yeah.
No. So
there are no hardcore Mario RPGs. It's just a case of where do you pitch it? Yeah, and they've gone a bit too far.
So it was the right level of RPG.
Yeah, everyone loved it.
Well, Mario and Luigi was arguably better in terms of RPG because it actually had more stats. Not that the stats mattered that much, but it had more of them.
Yeah, those were more RPG-ish. I'm not necessarily saying that to be more RPG solves the problem, but
yeah.
Well, the problem is that
1,000-Year Door straddled that just right.
Everyone goes on about the RPG, but I don't think the RPG is the thing that's the important part about 1,000-Year Door. The whole battle system is the important part. Who cares about the numbers? I mean,
That's where all the numbers
allow the battle system to work properly, I guess. But you could balance it as a completely flat curve, in theory. Make it so that the battles never require numbers to go up to artificially increase difficulty.
Well, they sort of gated it anyway, didn't they? Like, because you started to get like basically no experience.
Well, it is like the whole.
You couldn't cheese it too well.
Well, yeah, there was never any reason to grind because the game was balanced to the exact rate of progress, effectively. So
as
soon as you went to a new area, the amount of experience you gained suddenly increased dramatically, so you could level up to what you needed.
Well, I don't think it increased dramatically. It's just that by the time you got to that area, you'd already had to fight so many things that you had that much experience anyway.
Sure. It's a bit of both, yeah.
I don't think I ever grinded for XP in 1,000-Year Door that I remember. Maybe in I think the Dark Forest might have been the one place, that section might have been the one place where I did have to grind a little bit. Although you have to walk backwards and forwards through that bloody Dark Forest like 4 times anyway, so maybe that just felt like grinding.
Yeah, there's a bit of that. Well, they were never adverse to a little bit of padding, were they? In the series, it's not quite as bad as whatever the one was on Wii, the 2D, 3D platformy one where you had to literally run in hamster wheels.
No, you didn't. Everyone makes that reference as well, but that's not actually true.
I played that bit. It was true. It took a while.
It takes like 2 minutes of the hamster wheel, and then you do all the other stuff that actually gets you the thing that you need.
Still not a fun section.
It's fine.
I don't like it.
Just everyone is obsessed with the hamster wheel because some idiots at some point didn't realise there was a way to bypass that.
I didn't like it.
But yes, it doesn't matter that it's an RPG. What matters is the actual combat systems, because that was the thing that they, for some reason, decided not to replicate ever after 1,000 Year Door. Because the whole system of the timing, button presses, and stylish moves and all that, and the badge points. I guess the badge points is the one number that you do need, because that actually affects your loadout, essentially.
Oh, yeah, there was... yeah, I guess that was the most complicated thing about 1,000 Year Door, I guess, was that bit.
Yeah. And that was the thing that it did have over like Mario and Luigi, because in Mario and Luigi you just get the new abilities as you progress through the story, so you always have the same abilities.
And that was its one thing about tricks to certain bosses as well, wasn't it? You could equip certain badges that would make certain bosses like a complete walkover.
Only one of them.
No, I thought there were a few more tricks than just the dinosaur one with the sound.
Well, the only tricks is more like knowing what kind of knowing whether the enemy is spiky or not, I guess.
Sure.
That's about the main trick. And also, maybe if you want to cheese the stylish points by choosing one of the attacks that the stylish combo is real easy. Like the stupid power hammer where you just do like 5 backflips.
Oh yeah, that was cool.
You get so many stylish points.
The stylish system was awesome. Has there been anything like that in any of the follow-ups?
Not really. I mean, that was the whole audience thing went away, and then now they are apparently maybe trying to bring it back, but again, not.
There's a bit of audience in the current one, yeah. But there's my problem with the I don't know, from what I might be totally wrong on this. Outside looking in, haven't played the game, but apparently everything relies on money now. Like the game revolves around the number of coins you have. So if you want to do something special, you've got to spend that cash, and the only reason to do battles is to earn that cash. So you end up with a weird
just a card problem from
potentially, yeah. You could end up you could be trying to grind for cash, I guess, maybe at certain points, and then only to then end up in a fight where you need to spend most of that cash in order to win the fight.
Ever spend cash? How much money did you actually spend in 1,000 Year Door? Approximately.
Oh no. I'm not talking about the previous games. Apparently that's this game.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
If you want to,
if they've got this whole system. If they've got this whole system for Mario getting money and then you never spend any money in an entire game, then why not use that money for something?
Yeah, but that's all this game has. There's no leveling outside of that. There's no points. It's just money. Fat stacks. There's probably some character that says that though. Apparently that's totally on point back? As well. Right. The
weird writing. Yeah.
Yeah, apparently the writing is really very good this time. So there's that.
Was it Fat Pipes, wasn't it?
Fat Pipes, yeah.
Talking about Fat Pipes. That was great.
Get your internet speeds up. Get them Fat Pipes.
Yeah. Need them in this situation.
And finally, Microsoft are stopping production of the Xbox One X. And, just in case it's relevant to you, the Xbox One S. But only the all-digital edition. So they're still going to be making the current S.
So
with a drive.
You won't be able to get the latest, or the most powerful Xbox One. But because everyone who wants to buy that would naturally buy the Series X.
Series X, yeah. Okay. I think it's a sensible choice.
Yeah,
it's a bit strange for them to stop production of their most powerful line whilst the generation is still going. But Microsoft aren't exactly pushing Xbox, their own console, particularly at the moment. It seems very quiet on their front in terms of what they haven't got an exclusive coming out for it for a while. Well, that's a lie, actually. I think Grounded comes out pretty soon, which is the new Obsidian survival game.
Right.
I think that's out very shortly. In fact, it might already be out. Sure. It's definitely a July release. So there's that, but they're not exactly. It feels like they're very quiet at the moment. So it makes sense that they would cut production on the Xbox X, on the Xbone X, because if you were going to spend that kind of money, you're probably going to spend it on a Series X instead. Especially given there's still that rumor floating around that they're going to announce a Series S to be released alongside the Series X. Like a less powerful version of the new console for some reason, which might be a replacement for the X, for the current X, if you see what I mean.
Right.
The the rumored Lockhart SKU is what they think will turn out to be Series S. And the sort of mock-up shots that you'll see around the internet are basically like an X, but half the size, so it's a cube. It's like a GameCube. They've made a GameCube.
Hello, Microsoft GameCube. The Okama Games Fair.
Yep, that's exactly what I was thinking.
Okay, cool. Did you see the trailer for Flight Simulator?
I didn't see the trailer. No, I saw their old. I've seen their old trailers, but if they put out a new one, I haven't seen it.
Yeah, there's a new one. I mean, it just it looks crazy. It looks great, yeah. But like the satellite imagery or whatever combined with everything just is just, like ridiculous. Amazing looking thing. And you saw that you can get a physical edition of it on like 10 double super layered Blu-rays or whatever.
Well, yeah, were they Blu-rays? I couldn't quite figure out what they were, or if they were just DVDs. Or
they weren't just DVDs. I'm pretty sure they were Blu-rays. Yeah, just to get all the world data on there. Yeah,
that's huge.
It's just mental.
Are you going to dedicate a terabyte of hard disk space or something?
Well, yeah. I mean, there's people that didn't buy PCs just to play Microsoft Flight Simulator.
I guess this is catering to them, I guess.
Yeah, I would have thought so. That's going to be one hell of a download when you go to... But of course, it's on Xbox, right?
Yeah, there will be an Xbox version.
Yeah, so... it was weird. It's like that
smart delivery, though. I bet they will tout smart delivery for this and be like, if you've got an original Xbox, like you download the bad version of the game, and then the version appropriate for your machine.
Yeah, and then... How they make that run on the original Xbox One, I don't know.
They did get Phil Spencer in on the Ubisoft event to say, hey, Assassin's Creed Valhalla is supporting smart delivery. Great, right, because you'll get the Series X version if you own a Series X. That's not. I'm still like mildly confused by this whole smart delivery thing. It's like, well, all it really helps is surely that smart delivery only helps the existing generation of consoles, right? Like if you've got a regular Xbone versus an X, all smart delivery does is it means it's like, I'm not going to download the 4K texture pack because you can't do 4K.
Presumably, they're just giving it a fancy name.
Yeah.
Well, there you go.
If Series X is all there is in the new console and we don't get a Series S, then smart delivery is kind of pointless because it's just like, well, you'll get the X version on X and you'll get the Bone version on Bone.
On the Bone. Yeah.
They're making such a big deal out of it. And it seems so simple.
Well, never mind. Right. That's news.
Well,
no mystery news from Zach?
There was the helpful thing where after the last podcast where I mentioned that there was the rumours that there wasn't going to be any more Nintendo Directs, and now immediately after that podcast there was rumours about when the next Nintendo Direct is going to be. So there might be at least one more Nintendo Direct, I guess.
Maybe they had it in the hopper before the rumour.
Yeah, maybe. So we might be coming up on that maybe this week, is the rumour.
Could be. Okay, we shall see.
Don't forget, July 23rd is also the day of the next Xbox event. And they are teasing Halo content hard.
Well, yeah, they'd have to be.
Yeah, I mean, this is critical. This Halo Infinite has become like the linchpin.
Yep.
They got to get this right, otherwise they're in serious trouble.
We will see a new Forza game and we will see a Halo game. That much It has to happen.
Why is it next Thursday, right?
Yep.
23rd. Okay, awesome. So wait for our reaction next time. Cool.
It just has to happen.
Come on. I say it's quite clever of them to be releasing these PC Halo things in the run up to Halo announcements, just to get everyone in a Halo frame of mind.
Just keep the Halo going, and they're putting them out at a fair clip.
It's decent. People are happy. Cool. It's time for what you've been playing.
Go.
Zach, I think you better go.
Well, I don't have that much to talk about this time. There's a slightly weird game-related story to something that I did technically play, but not for very long. I very briefly went back to Dirt Rally 2.
Oh, yeah. Right.
Mainly,
after you downloaded that enormous patch.
Yeah, after I finally got it to patch. Yeah.
That's stopping you from joining us playing Valorant.
Well, that's one of the things. But it's there taking up all my hard disk space. So I was like, I really should actually play this, I guess. And originally I was going to see if my system could even handle like recording a video or streaming it or whatever. So I went in and I was like, well, before I try that, I better try and remember how to even play this game. But then what I'd forgotten, of course, was like you can only play like 4 stages and then you're completely exhausted. It's like it's not a game you can play for a long period of time, really. So I did.
Right, yeah, you have to really concentrate, don't you?
Yeah, I did the 4 stations and that was it. I did play a couple of the rallies that from when since the last time I played it, they put in some of the old rallies from Rally 1.
Oh,
so
yeah.
I went back to like Germany as the first one. Did be like, oh, it's tarmac, this is easy, and also it's Germany, and I remember most of this. So I went back in and did that. It's like, yep, this is still that game. But then that was pretty much all I played of it. But the related story to that was a really weird thing that recently on Penny Arcade they've been getting into a lot of streaming, but they've mainly been streaming like racing games.
Yeah, I've seen some of this. He's got properly into it, hasn't he?
Yeah. And then
his real name, but
Mike,
the Gabe guy.
Yes, Mike.
Yeah, that's it.
So he's got really into sort of simulation racing. Well, I guess iRacing and stuff. So free simulation. But so for no reason at all, apart from I guess I was thinking about Dirt Rally, and this was before I'd even gone to play it again. But I was like, I wonder if they actually consider playing a rally game at some point. And so then this is where it gets really weird because I have no idea why I actually decided to do this. But I was like, I'll just send an email.
I mean, at him.
Well, yes, it would have been a tweet if I had a Twitter, So I was just like, well, fuck it. I guess I'll just write an email instead. Because at first I was like, do they even have an publicly accessible email address any longer? Is that a thing that actually still happens on the internet? Turns out they do. So I was like, okay, good. So I just sent an email. I was like, have you considered rally? And then surprisingly, I actually got a reply, not from Mike, but from Jerry, obviously, because he's the one he's the one who actually communicates with people more.
He's the wordsmith.
Yes. So I was like, and then he replied and was like, do you have any recommendations for games? And I was like, yeah, Dirt Rally. That's pretty much it.
Get in there. It's got Rally in the title. You'll be fine.
Yeah. And I also mentioned
it's not WRC.
Well, I mentioned
that's the trick.
Dirt Rally 1 is theoretically better handling on the wheel than Dirt Rally 2, but Dirt Rally 2 has better physics and is slightly more friendly in user interface.
Oh, is that true? So what's the wheel thing about?
No, they fucked up the handling supposedly for some types of wheels. I don't notice it much because not like the Sidewinder is doing anything particularly amazing with its force feedback.
Sure.
They should just play Richard Burns Rally. That's my that's my go-to.
But then I also mentioned if you don't want to go super hardcore, you could go back to Dirt 4 instead, and it's because you can change it between simulation and arcade handling, and it has randomly generated tracks.
I thought you were going to say Colin McRae 4 or something rather than Dirt 4.
No. But yeah, so that was weird. So now in my email inbox, I have an actual email from Jerry Hawkins of Penny Arcade. All of about 4 words.
Nice.
Game.
Thanks,
do you
mate.
have recommendation?
Yeah, that's pretty much it. But that was
has
weird.
game.
I really wasn't expecting, actual email correspondence to happen
Yeah,
in the
that's
world
cool.
of Twitter. But there you go. That's my
Maybe
weird...
that was why he replied.
Yeah, maybe it's
'Cause
like
you-
maybe I've discovered the secret to actual communication is like not using Twitter.
Yeah, you appealed to his old school sensibilities. He's like just looking at his Outlook, thinking he'd come across a staff mail, and was like, "Oh, what's this?"
So that's that.
What is this?
That's all I did in Dirt Rally. Those 4 stages, and I was like, "Yep, okay." Also, I should mention, I guess there is one other thing to talk about with Dirt Rally 2 is like it'd always been a problem from launch, but it seems to, or maybe it was just coincidence when I played it, but like the whole career is attached to the always online RaceNet service,
Right.
and the servers were down.
Oh.
I don't know if
that's
it
bad.
was just coincidental, because I think maybe I was playing it in like exactly the time of day that they usually do maintenance, maybe,
Mm.
is what
Oh,
I
I
could
see.
gather from looking at forums. But like, it was completely down. It couldn't connect at all the whole time I was playing. So I just had to do like, one-off free rallies or whatever.
So is that what they're way of cloud saving your progress or something? Or
I don't know what it is that it requires to be always online for, particularly in the career mode.
yeah,
Like that single player.
it does strike me as bizarre.
So that game may be slightly worse in like, I was trying, because at first it kept saying the error message where it couldn't connect, and I was just like, is this game old enough that they've just taken the server down at this point? But apparently not. According to the forum post I could see, it still does theoretically work. It just never worked when I was playing it. So I don't know whether I was just unlucky or whether there's some weird I don't have a firewall port open or something.
Yeah, that game's too new still to have any problems like this, though.
You would hope.
Yeah. Given that it only relatively recently came out on Game Pass and PSN.
Yeah, I suppose. But anyway, that kind of sucks for that game. But I wasn't worried about... I didn't really want to continue my actual campaign or anything, because I wanted to drive in a car that could actually handle, I guess.
Yeah. No rear-wheel drive bastards.
Or front-wheel drive, old thing.
Understeer is easier than oversteer.
Kind of. Apart from you need to... It's annoying in either case.
Yeah, sure.
So there's that. That's that little bit of Dirt Rally that I played. And then...
I did vaguely consider going back to that the past couple of weeks. The thought did cross my mind, but didn't bring myself to it.
I missed the sale, so where it was like £7.
Well, wait till Christmas, I guess.
Yeah.
Or get Game
Awesome.
Pass.
And then that was really the only other thing I played, was just like a bunch more options not included. I'm significantly considering actually trying to make another video of that, but I just can't decide how to do it. Because like the first video I uploaded, the gameplay video on our channel, I did like cuts, which, for a game that takes a long time to play, cutting out a bunch of theoretically boring stuff is like probably good.
Sort of makes sense.
Mm.
But I mean, I've seen plenty of videos of it on YouTube where it's just straight gameplay, and it's like, this is part 30. So it's like, it's not like those videos don't exist, or like
No.
people don't think it's a terrible idea. People still watch those videos. Although, admittedly, I was like, when I watched them, I'm still just skipping the interesting bits. So maybe that's okay as well, I guess.
Yeah. No,
So maybe it's okay to just upload the whole video and be like, yeah, you can skip it if you don't want to watch. Maybe
personally, I don't mind your approach to it. I think that's probably better.
I like the edited, of course, but there you go.
I think there's a general problem with just doing games of that sort, and puzzle games, right, as well, where it's just like it sort of sometimes makes sense to just.
Well,
okay,
I don't know about
here's my
puzzle games
solution.
though, because like getting to
there's-
the solution is kind of helpful to see a lot of the time.
Yeah, sometimes to be like, okay, this was the moment where I had the epiphany. Oh, I get it.
But yeah, I don't know. I was thinking of making a video, some more video of it, but like even that small amount of editing to make those cuts is kind of annoying. It's not so much the editing the video that's the problem. It's like remembering to stop myself in the middle of playing the game and be like, oh, it's been 30 cycles. I better tab over to OBS and start up a recording and then start the voice recording and then actually re-intro myself into the gameplay.
Yeah, or you have to do it the other way around.
And just record everything and then cut it out later.
Yeah. The whole lot and find it, yeah. Which is slightly easier if you mute your mic. So if you mute your mic whilst you're doing the bit you don't want to record, and then unmute it, you can then just use the sound graph to be all like, oh, right, this is where I need to make my cut. Like, this is the completely silent part.
Then the problem with that is, like, you're using a whole bunch of unnecessary disk space for recording.
Yeah, you are.
You're just making these huge files for no reason because you're going to cut it all out.
Or you then use it to do a speed up bit.
Well, yeah, I tried. That's what I did with those Factorio videos back in the day. Yeah. But like my system can't handle that rendering process for some reason. I don't know what it is about Blender, I guess, that I use to render the videos. It's like when you do the speed up, it just takes like 4 times as long to render that section.
Oh, weird. I wonder if it's trying to consider like frame blending.
Yeah, like maybe.
Because that wouldn't be a problem with a more traditional NLE like Resolve or Premiere.
But my system can barely
Blender's a bit hardcore for that, isn't it?
Video anyway.
I was just thinking, Blender's quite hardcore for that, isn't it? Isn't it like a 3D modeling?
Well, yeah, but it could do video.
Sweet. Yeah. All right.
There doesn't seem to be a nice answer to like simple video editor that isn't Premiere or Final
Cut
Pro.
That's why I got
Resolve.
Blender one.
Okay, I have trouble with it, but it is free.
As long as you
it is what I'm using right now.
As long as you keep your Resolve, then everything's fine.
DaVinci Resolve.
I mean, that was the one thing that I did eventually successfully get working with my Blender process was like I made a base file. I actually made a proper base file where I was like, I can just slap the video in this bit and then start an endpoint, so you just shift them in and it's done.
It's kind of where I start most projects from.
And also, the other advantage that I have with Blender over Rob's whole process is I don't have any trouble syncing voice and gameplay. Mine just lines up.
Oh, so you don't end up with... Well, in fairness, I haven't had that for a while. The whole desync issue, where I've had to re-speed things. Every now and then I do. Depends what we record. But I think that's probably more of an OBS issue than it is a audio issue.
Well, yeah, but I'm still using OBS as well.
Yeah, I know. I don't quite know what's going on. I assume you're end-banking as well. This is a bit shop. I'll let you carry on.
Yeah. But yeah, that's the theoretical possible plan, but who knows? I've just been playing that game a bunch and finishing lots of different of the maps. Like, I guess I finished about 4 or 5 out of the 9 different asteroids. Like, played the game all the way to the end. In the last couple, it has been a bit like just get to the end instead of spending a long time making things particularly nice. Just hash it together and chuck that rocket into space. And I guess the other reason I was thinking about potentially making a video at this point is because the DLC will come out soon, and then everything will change. Which arguably would be better off making a video after the DLC comes out.
So is it an actual paid-for DLC pack this time?
Yeah.
Okay.
But they haven't actually announced a date on that, so who knows when that's actually going to happen. This year is as close as we've got to a date.
Depends if they've sipped from the Terraria cup. I won't have an update for another 4 years.
Well, it's not like they haven't continuously updated it like we thought they would, just like they did with Don't Starve. It's the exact same model, just constant little regular updates and then the DLCs occasionally. Because I still see constant updates for like Don't Starve Together and that just happening, which makes me think about playing that again. But every time I think about like Don't Starve Together is a different thing because it's the multiplayer version, so it has slightly different mechanics from the base game. And I keep thinking that I want to play the base game again. But the trouble is that like it's so different now.
Mm.
Because in the base game, you actually have like progress. Well, I mean, you have like technological process contained within the game anyway. In the whole, that's the whole point of the game, obviously. But like in the base game, you have like you actually, it's like your progress is limited to where you are through the overarching story, kind of like you don't just play one map forever. You like play one map up to a point and then it moves you on to a different map with a different set of challenges or whatever in the single player, which I mean makes sense because that's how you can do it in single player, whereas in multiplayer you just have to have everyone exist in a world and do things. But yeah, to go back in,
unless you had everyone suddenly level up, I guess.
To go back to the single player at this point, I think would be kind of like jarring because I like what I do remember of that game. It's all based on the multiplayer, so having to go back and like relearn it in the single player might be strange. Might be easier though, because that was the big problem with Don't Starve Together. Is it because it just basically dumps you in with everything? It's quite hard, like immediately. Surviving 1 year in Don't Starve Together is not easy unless you have like a lot of people, of course, because that's the point of multiplayer. But normally I only have 2.
So it's not balanced that well. That's what you're saying.
Well, I don't know. It's more like it's always been one of those games where you have to know a lot of stuff that you couldn't possibly work out from within the game, like the cooking recipes. There's no way. I mean, theoretically, you could just like experiment combining different random items in the cooking station to find out the different recipes, but you can't afford to waste those resources, so you just go and look it up on the wiki.
Dubious food.
Yeah, exactly. Like, would you ever have possibly known that there's certain recipes where you can put a stick in instead of like a food ingredient, and it still counts as a food ingredient? It's like there's no possible way. There's no reason you would even have thought to put a stick in there, let alone like that it could actually be beneficial.
Weird. Yeah. Why? Why is that thing?
So yeah, that is definitely the problem with Don't Starve Together, especially. Maybe the original, because of the way it you progress gradually. Maybe that's better because then you might have an opportunity to learn some of these things. But probably not. Probably still wiki. That is maybe the best one of the things that they did better in Oxford Not Included. The in-game database is pretty good and covers most of the numbers and stuff that you need. You can just click on anything and look up its database page and be like, oh, that's all the information you need is actually there.
Wasn't this a bit of a problem in Minecraft as well in the early days?
Well, yeah, basically all the versions of Minecraft before they put in like the non-crafting grid crafting. Because there was no way you could know what a crafting recipe was when it was just a 3x3 grid. It's just like put items on this 3x3 grid and the shape determines what the result is. No real way to know that. You have to just look that up.
Strange idea, really, without there being clues in the world or something.
Yeah. I don't even know what, like, when you think about that, it's like, obviously you look it up on the wiki, but like, what was the original design plan? Was it always assumed that there was going to be a wiki, or was it there going to be an in-game kind of thing at some point? I mean, obviously there is now, but like for 8 years later or whatever, when they had to redesign the whole interface for the consoles. I wonder what their original plan actually was.
The original plan was probably Yagni. It's like, we aren't going to need it. Someone will make it.
Because it's old enough that it was like that was almost before the age of wikis. Almost.
No, really? Game FAQs would have still been about.
Yeah, but Game FAQs is a different thing. I'm talking like actual, just straight wiki pages that everyone knows about.
Yeah, I guess when did like not fandom, but there's like that with the the open wiki or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Sites started popping up.
Yeah, it must have been about that time in the early Minecraft days.
Yeah, I guess.
God, I wish the fandom wiki, whatever that service is, would get less shitty adverts. Not like the content of the adverts, but just the like way they mess with the page layouts, and they're super heavy all the time. Just sucks. Makes those wikis run real bad, which is like the exact opposite of what a wiki is meant to be.
I'm still annoyed when tech websites have an auto-playing video, like as a pop-up somewhere, and I'm like, you're a tech website that probably has rallied against like invasive ads or something, and yet your own site has these things. Like, I don't know. That just really winds me up. Even if it's like just a little, like, oh, here's a snippet of other stuff on the site, but we're going to play it for like 10 seconds. And it's like, no, stop immediately.
Yeah. Speaking of annoying adverts or dumb adverts, because I have like personalized as disabled on YouTube, which I'm still considering maybe turning back on because it's getting kind of annoying.
I actually kind of want to know what ads you get because you've got that turned off.
Well, because I've got it turned off, I get the hella generic ads, which just means I get constant adverts for that shitty like web Game of Thrones game.
Right. Is that still a thing? Like,
yeah.
Is that the really big one that had a load of celebs in like several years ago?
But the only reason I bring up those adverts is because like they're fucking terrible. But you could almost make a drinking game out of it for like every time they use a stock sound effect that's completely inappropriate for the action that's happening. You can drink, and then like every time the voiceover guy who's clearly not English makes a horribly mangled sentence or mispronounces something, you can drink on that as well.
This sounds like a game I want to play.
It's like those adverts are just goddamn terrible. But the weird thing is, like, they must be adding new ones because there's some new ones that I hadn't seen before, and they're starting to get better. It's like they've learned how to make a slightly less terrible advert.
Or they've just had a moment of budget for some reason.
Yeah, or somehow this hugely popular, supposedly game that must make them a shit ton of money, they finally given them advertisement budget.
I'm trying to remember what it was. It was like they had a load of like models riding horses at one point. So was it like Game of War or something? Like some super generic name for like. And then they got Christoph Waltz doing Clash of Clans at one point.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know what it is about this.
We shouldn't air it. Like, we shouldn't give it credit, but like, I think it was Game of War that used to just fill my YouTube with terrible ads. You can have to look it up now.
Those are the kind of terrible ads you get if you don't have personalization turned on. Although, weirdly, even though I don't have personalization turned on, evidently there's still some. It still must be tracking location because I still occasionally get like adverts for COVID in Suffolk.
All right. I guess it can still map your IP to a location.
Yeah. So apparently turning personalization off doesn't entirely disable it.
Yeah, it was Game of War I was thinking of. That were apparently the first point on Google says they were incredibly effective.
Of course.
They were super effective.
So who knows what, like, maybe I'll just turn back on personalization for a while and see if it's different at all. See what adverts I theoretically get from personalization. And that's that. Just played Rocket League.
Which I suppose hasn't done anything interesting yet because it's still
because the season has been extended.
Yeah.
Although weirdly, I think I got the same wheel twice as a drop from the Rocket Pass, which I didn't think was possible.
Weird, yeah. I thought they specifically said that couldn't happen unless you got another certified version.
Well, no, because it says the certification in that menu as well. But it's just like I seem to have got the same one twice. But then I went to look at my inventory and it doesn't say that there's two of them at all. So it's like maybe the menu's just wrong. That was kind of weird, but who really cares? I'm never going to use any of these ridiculous number of wheels. I haven't even got very many of the holographic ones. This is always disappointing. And then the one, almost all of the holographic ones I do have some bullshit stat tracking on them, like Turtle.
Right. I don't think I've got any this time, but yeah, I've not been kind of out of the league for a couple of weeks.
Yeah, I got the golden eggs from their 5-year anniversary and didn't get anything interesting out of them either.
Oh, I forgot about that event. How long's that running for still?
You've missed it.
Oh, well, bugger.
So that's that.
Right. It's time for you, Rob.
I was trying to work out where I should start. Let's carry on with the multiplayer focus and say I've been playing a lot of Valorant still. Like a lot. Like probably unhealthily too much. Pretty much spent all of yesterday playing it.
Came out of nowhere, this game, did it? I guess, but
I mean, kind of, yeah. I mean, we knew Riot was working on several other projects for a long time. And then it turned up and is like one of the biggest games of the year. They put out a new skin pack for their guns that makes all the guns look like dragons. It will cost you £90 if you want your guns to look like dragons. You must be a mad person.
Right. I mean, someone will pay it. The whales.
Yeah, they have, because I've seen them in the game, and because you can kill someone and they'll drop it, and I've picked it up and I've used them for a bit, and yeah, they look like dragon-ass dragons. But they somehow work like guns. At least they're face forwards. It's a good thing. Well, I suppose it could be a bad thing if the gun model was bad, right? Because then you just have dragon butt in your face the whole time. Anyway, I'm still really enjoying Valorant. I think it's like quality experience. I have had I finally came across some days where I think I hit what I wouldn't exactly call it like a bad server per se, but just a few rounds where something felt off, ping wise or jumpiness wise or action wise, and it's like okay. In fairness, that means my hit rate's been pretty good. It's taken me a while to get to that point where I've got to a stage where things did feel kind of not right for a while. But that subsided, and it got back to feeling good again, and so I'm happy. Yeah, there's just times where it's I'm not talking about this isn't related to what I just said, but there are times in that game where you can just have a frustrating spell because of how some of the gun mechanics works, and it's so there's no fixed spray patterns like there are in CS:GO, for instance. So when you're starting to get bullet spread, it is occurring randomly, and so there are times where you can be being as accurate as you can with a particular gun, have your crosshair lined up over someone, but only your maybe one of your little burst of shots actually hits the target. And I seem to have a tendency at the moment where I get just enough bullet spread where most of my shots end up registering as foot shots. And that's really annoying because it's I'm still hitting people. How are they all feet shots? What have I got against people's shoes? It's and a bit of it me wonders sometimes if I'm getting unlucky with spray or if I've just got old habits from games of yore still surfacing every now and then where it's just aim for the feet because splash damage, or it doesn't matter because they do the same amount of damage as the head, so you might as well aim at the feet. I don't know.
But it's working out for you aiming at the feet and then?
Well, no, that's the problem.
It's random, right? Yeah.
Yeah, and also aiming at the feet does the worst damage. Like it's considerably lower than a body shot, and it's obviously a headshot is where you should be aiming, and it's you should aim for the head, and then depending on the gun, usually the trick is to then pull down a bit because some guns will spray up. That's how CS works anyway. And it's some of the guns do that here, but it's I don't know. I think I've got some bad habits from somewhere. But I'm still having a really good time with it. It's like I haven't ranked particularly well since they put competitive back in. I'm still terrible. That's a fact. But I kind of don't care. It's pretty fun. I don't know why I'm latching onto this more than I ever latched onto CS. I don't know what it is about it particularly. I just do.
Yeah, well, it's not as hardcore, is it? Quite as CS? Well, I guess.
I mean, it's pretty similar, really,
Yeah.
in terms of how the structure of the rounds and how the gunplay actually works. It's all pretty similar. The only wrinkle is the character abilities. And, so not everyone can carry flash grenades. You have to be a character that has a flash-like ability. Or you could be Cypher and planting tripwires around the place, so you kind of know where people are when they walk past certain areas of the map. And then you've got the Sage, which you have to kill immediately, otherwise they heal everyone. Really annoying. Kill the Sage. Valorant. It's be good if Zach joined us, even if just to be another voice that can temper some of Kippers' constant shouts of, there's so many cheaters in this game.
Classic.
Don't think that's going to work.
No, probably not.
It doesn't even work in Rocket League, where there's literally nothing but physics happening.
Sorry, Kips, I know you're quite strong-willed about this subject, but I don't think it's as bad as you make it out. So there's that. Be good to have you on board, Zegel. I finished off Pool Panic, which I talked about last time. That stupid pool ball comic-y sort of game. I got through every single one of its levels. But that end boss is hot garbage. It's just well, it's not even hot garbage. It's just straight up garbage. It's not
straight
good
up garbage. Okay.
Yeah, it's a really frustrating, lengthy sequence where it's basically you've just got to pop balls as you have been all game, but there's this like blobby thing following you around, and if it touches you, like unlike most levels where the white ball just dies and you don't get the trophy for that level for having not potted yourself or fouled in some way. It just ends the level and restarts the level, and it's like, and there's no checkpoints in this thing, so you've got I've got to do this whole sequence from the beginning again, and I found it really quite annoying. It was less annoying the second time I did it, of course, because it's like I missed something during that sequence, so I went back and did it again, and it's like, well, no, I know what I'm doing now, so this was quite easy, but just I found it really quite frustrating that first time. It's a flawed experience because the physics don't always work, and some of the levels are just bad, and but it does somehow keep going with the originality all the way through, and you're constantly stumbling on new ideas. There's never a level that where an idea is used maybe more than 3 times at most, and there's like 120 levels in this thing, so you're getting a lot of ideas thrown at you. So it's it's good in that respect, but really could have done with some refining in spots, or just trim the fat.
Keep the good stuff.
Yeah. But that's done now. I briefly went back to Just Shapes and Beats for an evening because I needed some fat pumping bass in my life while I chilled to play games, and partly because I was drawn back because they've released a free update that adds 5 more music tracks to the game, which is good.
Good tracks?
I don't know. I've not been able to play them because they're locked behind. You have to unlock them behind that game's pretty ridiculous unlock requirements.
Oh, okay.
Like, I don't know. This is where my problems with Just Shapes and Beats come in. It's like there's a lot of tracks in that game you can play just through the story mode, and you don't have to unlock those other than going through the story mode, which is fine. That's great. That's where the good stuff is. There's a ton of bonus tracks in there that you basically have to grind for. Like, they get unlocked by how many times you've dashed, how many times you've rescued other players, which means you need to play the multiplayer to get them.
Right.
How many times you've been online and just played a challenge mode. But those, how many beat points you've acquired, and beat points are like the currency you earn by playing the game, basically. But those requirements seem crazy high. Like, they take a long time to grind out. And to the point where it's like, I'm just playing this to grind the money rather than for the fun. And it's like, then the game gets less fun as a result of that. And I think this system undermines what is great about this game. And it's frustrating. And it also doesn't help that the challenge structure is quite irritating as well. So it's like, it's easy enough in that you just drop into a match with other players and you just go, and the game has a sort of voting engine for picking which tracks you're playing next, except for the fact that it has to follow a normal stage, boss stage structure, and there aren't as many boss stages as there are regular stages.
Yeah.
So at the end of every 3 stages, you're probably going to get a stage that you played a few minutes ago. And it's like, why would you do that? Just make it so every stage is an option for everything. I was like, I know it sounds good to end on a boss, but the boss state, there aren't as many of them, and it's not like they play hugely differently from the others. So, just open it up. Just get rid of that forced boss ending and have it so it picks from any stage all the time, and you're golden. It would have been a much better mode. It's just little things like that are frustrating about Just Shapes and Beats, but in what is otherwise a fantastic little game. So I did a bit of that. Don't kill me, but I went back into Kiwami 2 a couple of times. Just did a little bit more fighting, more than anything. But I guess the new thing I started playing, but it's not, it's new for me, but not new in terms of release, is I played some Bloodstained Curse of the Moon. The first one, not the second one.
Okay.
Which is the sort of 8-bit throwback version of Bloodstained that came out before the big boy Bloodstained came out.
Oh, okay. So kind of inspired, yeah.
Yeah, it's eager, basically making an NES Castlevania game. And it's very much one of those. It's if you want the full-on retro experience, like in as close a recreation as it could possibly be, except with widescreen, then this is exactly that. It's like it's like the Shovel Knight of Castlevania.
Yeah, Shovel Knight. Yeah.
And it lands that. Like it feels like it looks like a NES game. It feels like a NES game. The music is great and is limited in that particular way. It's it's one of those warts and all, because it doesn't play like a modern game. It plays like an old experience, and I think I made a mistake. Like when I did because I've played this through twice now, because it's not very long. It's only 8 stages long, and my first playthrough took over 2 hours, and my second playthrough I did in 1.5. But I think I made a mistake in my first time through, in that I played it this game has an interesting approach to difficulty, in that there are basically different modes you unlock as you go through. There's normal mode, you get veteran. You get normal mode, then you get nightmare mode, depending on which ending you get, and then there's an ultimate mode. So at my first playthrough, but then you get a second option to be whether you want to play it in veteran or casual mode. And I made the mistake of picking veteran mode.
Oh, okay.
For my first run, because what that does is it
Because
doesn't make
casual
the game
sounds
like easy mode,
Yeah.
right? Like, but it's what they
I'm not
really
filthy
do
casual.
is yeah, there's a bit of that. But what they really do is it change, and it presents. I keep talking over myself, but it presents like veteran mode as the first option, and casual is like underneath as well.
Okay.
So I was sort of like, oh, surely veteran's the way to play. That seems like the intended experience.
Yeah.
But they're not really difficulty modes per se. I mean, they are a little bit, but there's some slight rule changes, actually, is what it means. So the big difference and the absolute thing that changes my enjoyment of this game completely is that in veteran mode, you get old school style knockback every time you get hurt. So you know that effect from like games of that era where if something hits you, you bounce into the air for a bit and basically lose all control and get knocked backwards. Super frustrating when you have a game with quite a few holes in it that insta-kill you.
Because the moment you get hit, you have to watch yourself fall into a hole and there's nothing you can do.
There's nothing you can do. It's really annoying.
Nice.
Especially later on in the game where there's a lot of awkward platforming and things attacking you whilst you're platforming. So I died a lot. And it's mildly compounded by if you're like there's multiple characters in the game. And you only technically die when all of your characters are dead.
Right.
So you don't lose if you're playing in veteran mode, you have limited pool of lives, but you don't lose a life unless you lose all your characters. So if you lose a character, the game stops and it restarts at the current screen, quote unquote screen you're in, or room, I suppose. And you can just play that room again, which isn't so bad, I suppose, when you're doing the jumpy bits. But there's one character that can jump higher than the others. So you tend to use her for some of the more difficult jumpy bits. But then, of course, if you lose her, then you've got to use the other characters. And if you've got enough magic points, there's one character that can straight up fly over certain bits. So that's handy, provided you've still got that guy alive. And there's no way of resurrecting those characters once they're dead unless you lose the others until they die. If you see what I mean. So there's no you can't get a mid-level res unless you lose a life and then all your characters come back. So that's a bit that can be frustrating as well, especially when you're going up against certain bosses because the same rules apply during the boss fight. So you go up into a boss room and you have the boss fight, and then you lose a guy because you didn't switch in time, so his health runs out. It's like, oh, you've got to restart that boss fight, but with fewer characters and therefore a smaller health pool.
Oh.
So you end up doing this awkward loop, really. It'd be like, oh, I've died once, so now my second attempt is going to be harder than the first time I tried it because I'm a character down, and I might not have the abilities I want to actually try and take down this boss. So I'm going to die. Oh, now it's even harder. Oh, I'm going to die again. Oh, now I've lost a life. Now I've got all my characters back. Now I can win.
Yeah. Reset me back.
It's a weird structure. Yeah, it's a slightly weird structure. And in veteran mode, you've got a limited pool of lives. And admittedly, I never lost all of my lives during my playthrough, so I don't know what happens. I don't know if it kills your game save or if it just puts you back to the start of the stage. So I never got to see how bad it was. Unfortunately, on the last boss, there's actually a 1-up right before the last boss that respawns when you lose a life.
Okay.
So you kind of have infinite lives for that last boss anyway. But because of the system of me losing characters, if I lost the boss fight, what I'd then do is I'd then just walk all my other guys into a pit, one after the other, until I lost the life, so I could have all of my guys ready to face the boss again.
Okay.
Which is really stupid.
Yeah,
it's
that's
dumb. Why design it that way? It's really dumb. It'd be way better if you just lost a character and it just lost that character and you could carry on with the others. From that moment. Why put you back? It's it's strange. It's a strange choice. That just gets in the way. So in casual mode, you don't get that knockback. You still have a hit stun period, but this is 0 knockback, so it makes the platforming so much less frustrating.
Yeah, I mean,
it makes it a lot easier as well, admittedly, but it's just I think the trade-off is worth it. Like, I'm not...
you'd want like harder enemies with more health or something, and the ability to control your character. Like, at all times.
There were so many times where I literally shouted out, "I hate this game," because of the knockback system, and purely because of the knockback system, because it's just so irritating.
Doesn't sound fun at all.
Yeah, weirdly no. But then most of the game is fine. It's just that knockback system in bits where there's holes in platform. And it's, And because, honestly, I'm actually quite up on the game. Like, I played for it again a second time, in casual mode. But I did my run differently. I didn't rescue you. There's moments in the game where the first time I played it through, I didn't realize there was a choice.
Okay.
But there's multiple endings in this game, depending on what choice you do make during those moments. And now I know what those are. I thought, right, let's do this again. Let's put it in casual mode and let's just run through it and see how bad it is. And I had a way better time. Admittedly, as I say, it took me about an hour and a half to finish the run, but I enjoyed it, and I enjoyed it quite a bit, to the point where I'm now playing a third run in nightmare mode. In casual, admittedly, like it's a casual nightmare run. Come at me, but I'm having a way better time with it. Like I don't mind playing it through again. So yeah, stick it in veteran mode if you're a bloody masochist. Play it on casual, everyone else. Don't feel bad. Casual was way more fun. But yeah, the music's really great. It's got a lot of it's interesting seeing, because it's actually borrowing, like, a lot of the content, actually, a lot of the boss fights and things are in Bloodstained, the big game.
Oh,
but
right.
They're scaled down to fit on this NES version. And like all the characters are from the big game as well, but it's a different story and it plays out in a different way.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
To the point where it's probably canon breaking. Like, the two probably aren't operating in the same timeline. That's what I'm thinking here. They're like separate series with the same people.
One's in the 8-bit universe.
Yeah. But yeah, there's the two-headed dragon boss. There's the speedy boss. There's the I guess the giant train boss. I don't think that was in. I can't really remember that. But yeah, there's some returning fights, and they're quite well done. Yeah, I think it's pretty good. Just veteran mode. It's an arse. And that's kind of it. I don't really think I've got much else to really talk about. I was going to have played a bit of Neon Abyss, because I've downloaded it and installed it, because that came out on Game Pass. And for a game, it debuted on Game Pass as well, which is kind of cool. So I thought I'd give that a go, which would be a Enter the Gungeon, but as a side-scrolling run and gun. I thought, right, that sounds like it could be a laugh. Except I got interrupted by Kippers wanting to play Valorant yesterday, so I didn't actually play any of it.
No, straight into Valorant.
Also, it seems to have slightly dodgy controller support on PC, because it took me a while to actually get it to recognize my Xbox 360 controllers. Top tip. Launch the game with your controllers disconnected, and then connect them once the game has started. Then it seems to work.
That's bizarre.
Yeah, it's like the opposite way around. Yeah. So yeah, I'll talk about that next time when I actually get around to playing it. Yeah, and I'll probably have played some Tourist by next cast as well. That's me.
Sweet. Cool. Well, yeah, I saw that bit of Tsushima, so I might get on that at some point when Gary's finished with it. I'm still playing Halo 2, just in the high charity, whatever it's called, Gravemind level. I remember I was like, the start of that mission is like a stupid room full of brutes and stuff, isn't it? And it's like, oh, I remember this room.
Oh, that room.
Yeah, the Rumpus room.
Yeah. Just hide in the corridors.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. You have to wait for them to open. Yeah. Yeah. So, memories. Oh, memories. So that was a pain in the neck.
That's a difficult ass room.
But I got past that fine on heroic. It's just probably not fun on legendary. Yeah.
Nope.
Because like by the time the door opens and they come out, you're dead by the time you can find any cover because there's no cover apart from right at the end of the room. Yeah.
Yeah,
Anyway,
there's
so-
basically none. There's basically nothing in that room. It's
No.
horrendous.
It's quite easy to checkpoint where you're screwed, unfortunately, in that room.
Mm,
At least it's right at the start of the mission, so you could restart the whole mission. But anyway, so yeah, fun times. Yeah. And I think that's it. Still just waiting for Tony Hawk and Star Wars Squadrons. That's my anticipated games.
no ways until Star Wars. Yeah.
Yeah, way more excited about those games than I am about Cyberpunk for some reason. Anyway,
Oh, really?
yeah, weirdly, because that just seems quite daunting.
It does. It's going to be an
Yeah.
epic, but
Yeah, I don't know. And yeah, not really feeling Last of Us right now, so I think more likely to play Tsushima first.
oh, okay. So you haven't even started Last of Us.
No, I haven't bought it.
Okay.
No, I haven't bought it.
I may be being lent a copy of that soon, so
Oh,
I may
okay.
be starting that.
Yeah, you'll have to tell me. Yeah, cool.
Yeah, I hear the story's quite hard going.
Yeah, I don't know if I feel like it right now. You know what I mean?
Cannot blame you.
Yeah. And then, yeah, I took Persona 4 off my Steam wish list. I think I'd rather just play Persona 5 if I'm going to play one of those.
Right. Okay. Fair enough.
Yeah, I'll play the more modern one.
At least I forget. Did Persona 5 did come out on PC, didn't it?
Don't
Or did
think
it,
so.
Or is it not?
But I've got
okay.
PS4, so I'm good.
Oh, you're all right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Cool.
Oh, yeah, I didn't think I ended up really picking anything up in the old Steam sale in the end.
In the sale, yeah.
I think I had one of those like slight crises of conscience where it's just like I've got an epic backlog, I've got
Yeah. Exactly.
I've got Game Pass, I should be fine, right? Right?
Yeah.
It's like
I
I
think
will
you're
be
going to
fine.
be fine.
I will be fine. I just might not be playing the most timely of games.
Well, it's not like you would have been buying timely games in a sale. You would have been
Well,
buying
no,
old
I
games that were on sale.
It's time
consider-
to play.
I considered playing Doom Eternal. Because somewhat as predicted, that went on a 50% off.
Right. That was quick. Yeah.
But yeah, couldn't quite bring myself to it. I think I'd rather, as I say, play some of these PS4 games, get around to playing Final Fantasy VII Remake or something like that
yeah.
before I tackle Doom. I might even fancy playing another Yakuza game, you know.
I mean, you're on a roll.
Something to tear me off Kiwami. How about another one?
So we got some more Portal gameplay from you guys going up on YouTube.
Well, I think the next one might actually be. I might be an Obra Dinn behind.
I
think that'll be the next video to go up.
Yeah, and we'll make some more of that. So check out our YouTube channel for that stuff, and that's it from us, I guess.
That's a podcast.
That's a podcast. We will catch you in a couple of weeks for another Saladcast.